The sniper rifle is a weapon whose stocks have risen massively since the original Xenoblade Chronicles X, thanks to access to probably the new, most broken art in the game, Howling Soul. This has made it a fixture on any kind of team composition, and it's fantastic for offline solo play as well, making the sniper rifle one of the strongest ranged DPS weapons the game has to offer. If you're looking for a fun ranged weapon that isn't the dual guns, the sniper rifle might just be second place, or at least tied with the Gatling. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the sniper rifle, discussing strengths and weaknesses, and showcasing the most effective ways to use it. And as always, if you enjoy guide content like this on Xenoblade Chronicles X, and want to see more on the remaining weapons and other types of guides, please do be sure to subscribe to the channel because it does help me out so much. I'm getting very close to 100,000 subscribers and would really love to hit that milestone soon, and every little bit helps. Let's get started. Let's go ahead and start by taking a look at the arts that it has available to it. First up, we have Shrapnel. This is a singular hit art with 900% hit scaling, which isn't the worst thing in the world. However, it does have the special effect of doing 200% more damage to appendages. Now, if you are focused on killing appendages in a fight, you want more gear, you want more loot, or you just want to break appendages in general with the combat system, this can be a pretty decent art. However, if you are running the Core Crusher skill, which is unfortunately one of the strongest skills in the entire game, you get no special effect here. This does not stack, this does not do any kind of additional damage. All it does is increase the amount of damage you deal to appendages to break them easier. So with that in mind, if you are running an ether-based Core Crusher build, and you do not have to run that, but if you are, then this is not going to have a useful bonus effect for you, and you might be better off running a different ranged art, especially if you're looking for more damage out of your setup. But if you want to break appendages, it can be a decent option to have available. Next up, we have Hawkeye. This is just a critical power bonus effect. It's just a generally useful way to increase the damage of all of your critical hits. Not a bad buff to art to have at all. There's not really too much else to say about it. Pretty much if you can fit it on your set, you probably want to run this to increase your damage. Next up, we have Eagle Eye. This will increase your ranged accuracy and also grant ranged attack up. So if you're focused on a more ranged attack focused build rather than a TP or potential focused build, this is another great thing to have available to you. And you can also increase your own ranged accuracy, which can actually be useful against certain super bosses which have a lot of evasions, such as Telethia or something like that. Honestly, another art there isn't really too much else to say about. You can definitely consider running this buff if you need the ranged accuracy, or if you're running a ranged attack build. Pretty useful effects all around. Next up, we have Sidewinder. This is, once again, a 900% hit scaling single hit art, so it has the exact same damage that Shrapnel does, and it can inflict debuff resistance down when you land it. So if you want to focus on a debuff build, this can be somewhat useful, but do keep in mind that debuff resistance down isn't going to be the most useful thing in this game, since Overdrive already gives you massive debuff resistance reduction to all enemies 100% at maximum count, so the debuff resistance down ends up feeling a little bit redundant and not as useful as it probably could be otherwise. So because of that, debuff resistance down, it can be nice, but it's probably not going to be the most useful, unfortunately. If you are looking to do damage with your ranged attacks, you also have a better art option available to you, which you should probably be focused on using instead of this one, but it can be good as just kind of an art to mix in if you don't have anything else to use. Then we have First Down. This will deal weapon damage and inflict topple on humanoid enemies, and its secondary and tertiary bonus effect is immediate reuse, so you're not going to be getting much damage out of this no matter what. Now, if you are fighting a humanoid enemy, this is just a free topple art, could be useful in that specific situation, but most enemies in the game, especially the strongest enemies, are not humanoids, so you're very likely not to get a lot of benefit out of this art, and you're very likely not going to be running it in most situations because of that. But if you are fighting a humanoid, it's a nice topple, and topple is always a really nice effect to have in this game, and it combos very well with one of your other skills, which we'll talk about in a second. Next up, we have Ghost Sniper. This is the aura art available on the sniper rifle. This just boosts your critical chance, boosts TP with criticals, and boosts your ranged accuracy. Now, if you do not have a better aura that you can use from your melee weapon, this is a pretty nice aura. Critical chance isn't bad. Ranged accuracy is a nice effect to have on this weapon, just so you can hit some of the higher evasive super bosses. It's not a bad aura. You can get some decent extra damage out of this, and it does help. If you have something like a knife as your support weapon, you can run full spec, so you'll get more benefit out of that, since you can boost your own potential with that. You can also get a lot of benefit out of the dual swords if you run that. And if you're running a reflect build, you can run a shield or a photon saber or something like that and use that aura instead, which can all be very beneficial to you. So you may not want to always run Ghost Sniper, but it is a decent option to have available to you depending on what kind of build you are planning to run. Next up, we have Intercept. This deals weapon damage and inflicts stun. Now, this is actually a really nice art. Stun is a really powerful effect, especially when combined with Topple. You will notice that the set that I am running has the shield Topple art on it, Wild Down. And if you combine that with stun, you can kind of freeze your topple duration and kind of stun the enemy even longer and keep them stun locked. So I find Intercept to be a very useful art. Especially because it's the only purple art you even have on the sniper rifle, so you'd really want to run this just to kind of make sure that you are able to kind of generate TP and overdrive, since that's actually one of the biggest weaknesses of the sniper rifle. getting TP in general can be very, very difficult with this weapon, and it can be a little bit more difficult to build count with this weapon compared to some of the other weapons just because of the lower hit counts on a lot of your arts. Regardless, though, Intercept is a great art. Stun is an absolutely really good debuff effect that combos very well with Topple, and it's also just a really nice purple art to just kind of have available to you so you can get TP easier, especially because you're very TP hungry with the build that I'm going to be using. Next up, we have Slayonet. This is going to be your absolute best damage art for ranged attack build. So if you're focusing on building up your ranged attack, this is going to be the best art. This is 3 hits with 700% hit scaling each for 2,100% hit scaling, which is very, very high for a ranged attack build, for a ranged attack art, I mean. And you can deal more damage if you are able to trigger this out of a melee combo, which of course just means using one of your melee arts before using this art. Now, if you are in overdrive, you will obviously lose your big damage bonus if you go from a melee art to a ranged art, so you would have to use a buff art, a debuff art, or an aura art from your melee weapon in order to chain this into your Slayonet here to get the most damage out of it while also triggering that melee combo. So do keep that in mind. Make sure that you are triggering the melee combo properly if you are using Slayonet and trying to get the biggest damage bonus out of it. Regardless, Slayonet, very powerful ranged attack art. It can be very, very strong if you are building for a ranged attack build. Speaking of very strong art, your absolute strongest art is going to be Afterburner, but this is going to be a TP art, which means it's going to scale off potential instead. So it is a different type of build and something different that you're going to want to do if you're going to try to get the most damage out of Afterburner. So this is going to be a 5-hit art that has 900% hit scaling each for a really high 4,500% total scaling, which is very, very strong for a TP art. And it also has a cooldown of only 18 seconds, meaning you actually can use this really often. And it also has a really nice bonus effect of 200% more damage when you trigger a ranged combo, which is not hard to do at all with this weapon. This is a very strong art, can do a lot of damage if you can set it up properly. And if you have a nice potential-based build, you can absolutely one-shot most enemies that aren't named Gradius the Headless Emperor in this game. And even that enemy can go down in 2 hits if you have the right setup. This is a very strong art and probably going to be the focal point of the focus of my video today. Not that you cannot run a really strong ranged attack build with Slayonet as well, but I'm going to be focusing on Afterburner mostly just because that'll be the best way to show off some of the other things we have available to us. Howling Soul. This is probably the best art in the game at this point. This is really, really strong as an art. It is basically an Omni buff, grants melee attack, ranged attack, and potential to everyone in the party when you activate it. And it also revives a random incapacitated ally. That part's less important. What mainly matters is the Omni buff. So you could not get melee attack as a buff effect before in this game. And this allows you to basically apply melee attack buffs to all of your melee weapons in the game now, which is something that you could not do before. This also counts as a completely separate buff effect to other forms of ranged attack boost like Eagle Eye and other forms of potential boosts such as Mindstorm. So you can build your potential and your ranged attack even further by applying this buff on top of that. It does not overwrite those previous buff effects. It just stacks even further and gives you even more damage. So Howling Soul is ridiculously powerful. Basically makes a lot of things possible in this game that were not possible before. Allows you to hit damage caps a lot easier. This is really, really strong. Increases basically all of your damage. And you can easily run it online to kind of boost your allies' damage for everything that you end up doing. You can run it on an AI party member so they can use it for you, so you can get a lot of decent damage out of that. Only one AI is going to get it because it's an affinity thing, but still, very, very strong art. You can even run it yourself offline just for yourself if you're using the sniper rifle as a weapon, and you can get a lot of benefit out of that as well, and just can do a lot of damage for any melee weapon that you have with the sniper rifle equipped, or with the sniper rifle itself. Very, very powerful art. I'm using the shield as a supporting weapon here because I did want access to the wild down topple to show off in one of these builds here because I think it combos very well with your purple art intercept since you can apply topple and then you can inflict stun on the enemy while they are toppled, meaning you can run a pretty effective topple locking build with the sniper rifle that gets a lot of damage. You also have Trash Talk, which allows you to get more TP easier. It's only a single hit purple art, but it can boost TP with morale as well, meaning you can get some decent amount of TP while you're at lower overdrive counts, so you can kind of keep refreshing your overdrive and get to your maximum count a little bit faster. And you also have the Mindstorm. This grants potential up, which is a really nice buff effect, something you can only get on the shield and the knife. So I'm running this to just boost my potential even further so I can increase the damage of my Afterburner even further. Now, you can also run this with the knife, like I already kind of alluded to, because it also has potential up. It has full specs as an aura, which increases your potential even further. And it also has Black Butterfly, which lowers enemies' ether defense even further, which is great if you're running an ether-based damaging setup. You won't be able to topple lock with that, which means you'll have to run the much harder to manage sleep build, but if you can manage to get everything to work out, you can do even more damage with the knife compared to the shield here. But I think the shield works really well with the stun art that you have, so I think the shield is going to be a cool weapon to show off with this. And you also have access to a reflect aura with super shield here that you can use if you end up fighting an enemy that is going to be immune to topple and stun. So that is an option you have available to you as well, which can be useful in certain scenarios. Let's take a look at the skills now. The skills I am running are going to be, well, Core Crusher. Once again, you do not have to run Core Crusher if you don't want to. If you want to use a different weapon that is not ether-based, you don't have to run this. But if you want to get the most damage possible out of your sniper rifle, the Core Crusher is going to be essential. The build is going to be the exact same otherwise, though, because you have no specific locked arts on your sniper rifle. Everything is weapon attribute, meaning you can run whatever you want, and everything is going to be that element. So if you're not running an ether weapon, you would just replace Core Crusher with something else. Otherwise, the build is the exact same. I am also running Trigger Happy specifically on this build to reduce my art cooldowns a little bit when I'm triggering a ranged combo. You can definitely replace this if you don't think you're going to be able to use Afterburner as much for something like a damage increase or something like that. I am also running Inner Search to boost my potential by 20% for more additional damage as well. And then I have Long Topple, which will extend topple effects by 5 seconds, meaning that I can topple enemies even longer and keep them stun locked even longer, so I don't have to keep refreshing the topple art. And then finally, Secondary Accelerator once again reduces your cooldowns even further, so you can use your Afterburner even more often if you think you're able to use it that much. Otherwise, you can replace this with another damage increase. You can change the Mastermind class to increase your potential further at the cost of one of your skill slots. There's a lot of options you have available to you. Combo Gunners are really particularly good art for 125% damage boost when you're triggering a ranged combo, and we're trying to trigger those ranged combos for Afterburner, so this is definitely something to consider. You can also get a 100% damage increase when you fight at night with Night Vision. You can also boost your ranged accuracy even further with Steady Hand. There's a lot of options you have available to you. And obviously, if you're running a ranged attack build, you're going to want to run boosted bullets to get the ranged attack benefit out of that as well. For setup, it is probably not that different than what you think it is. I'm running a potential up shield to get as much damage as I can out of my potential based arts. Now, I am running a Warren Delta sniper rifle here because this was the only ether-based sniper rifle I had with potential up on it, which means it's actually going to do more damage than an Ultra Diamond sniper rifle or something like that. So I am running this Warren Delta sniper rifle just because it does have potential up 11 on it, and that does give me a bit more damage even despite the weapon being a little bit weaker than the most optimal weapon type. So that is kind of funny here. You can definitely run a better sniper rifle than I am, but it really doesn't matter too much. As long as you have the rest of the setup, everything is going to still do a ton of damage, and it really just doesn't matter a ton. Obviously, if I had better gear, though, and bothered to upgrade my potential traits, I could get over, like, 850, maybe even 900 potential, which would mean I would be doing more damage with my arts, so that is definitely a possibility. But you'll see, even without that, I'm still able to do plenty of damage with this art. Afterburner is really, really strong with all of the multipliers that we have on it. For the augments, I am running the 5 Appendage Crushers to get the maximum amount of damage. Once again, this lowers enemies' appendage hardness tiers, so that means you just get basically a free 2.5 times damage multiplier if you are targeting appendages with the 5 Appendage Crushers equipped, which is really, really powerful and better than pretty much anything else you can run here. And I am also running 1 count of overdrive count up. I think this is really, really important to have, honestly. You really want that overdrive count up just kind of making sure you're not going to really struggle to build overdrive with the current setup that I have, since you don't really have a lot of high hit count arts to build overdrive very quickly with the setup that I am currently using. So overdrive count up, you probably want at least 1 stack of that, at least somewhere on your build, just to kind of like not have the most trouble in the world building up that overdrive. For the armor, I'm once again running the headpiece that has potential up and potential boost on it, and upgraded them as much as I possibly could here, just to kind of get the most damage that I can out of my potential base setup here in my TP art Afterburner, and I'm running a potential up on everything else that I can as well, except for my Ultra Infinite Ys, which has max TP up and extend overdrive is just kind of bonus additional effects on that. The ranged attack up doesn't end up mattering a ton here, since I'm not really using any really powerful ranged attack arts, only really my debuff art on the current setup. But it is something that can be nice to have, especially if you are running ranged attack builds with the sniper rifle instead. So that is something you could consider. The extend overdrive is also additionally nice just for giving a bit more time to kind of build up that overdrive count. Not that it's necessary, but it is nice to have as an option at least. And then, of course, I'm running 3 pieces of shop gear. The Reginald Rest, the Reginald Treasures, and the Reginald Breaker. All of these are from the shop because they're the only way to get potential up on your torso, right arm, and legs. So I'm just running all of these just to make sure I get as much potential as I can, since I don't really need the bonus effect traits on anything else, since I already have a source of TP up, and I already have a decent extend overdrive effect on this arm as well, which is really nice to have. Outside of that, I am running potential ups and potential boosts to maximize my potential on my armor augment slots here, and that's going to boost my potential, like I said, already all the way to 791. If I bothered to upgrade my weapons, and if I didn't want to waste materials, I could have upgraded this even further to boost my potential probably to over like 850 or something, but Honestly, I have enough potential now. This is enough to show off how the build works, and honestly, it's going to be plenty. Now, if you do not want to run a potential-based build, you can definitely run Overdrive Gain TP, or a Rapid Cooldown, or something like that, and you can probably have a lot of success with a ranged attack build doing that as well. But the only problem with that is you need to run a Appendage Crusher or Eye Patch, and you're definitely going to want to have Appendage Crusher on your melee weapon if you can, just to kind of make sure that you can maximize your ranged attack on everything else that you have available to you. Regardless, though, this is probably going to be a pretty decent setup just for showing off the build. You can definitely get more damage than I am if you have a better sniper rifle and you have a better potential up as far as upgrading your traits is concerned. But for now, this is fine. I think that is going to cover it for the setup, so let's go ahead and get into how to use the build practically and showcase what it can do in the right situations. So I think the biggest struggle this weapon is probably going to have is building up overdrive count in a lot of situations. That is why I'm going to be taking very little use of Trash Talk here and my stun art to just kind of build my overdrive count up with the overdrive count up stack that I have. Now, if you run overdrive count up, you can actually do this a lot quicker since, of course, the more overdrive count you have when you start the fight, the easier it is to kind of activate overdrive and get more TP from your purple arts, which means this earlier part here just kind of goes a lot quicker. But regardless, if you are running this with only one stack of overdrive count up, or God forbid 0, you'll probably have a lot tougher of a time kind of building up your overdrive count. You're probably going to want a melee weapon that has a high hit count art so you can build up your overdrive even faster. So that is going to be, like I said, one of the main problems with this weapon, I would say. Of course, running overdrive count up with the ranged attack build could be really nice as well. If you have overdrive gain TP, and that'll allow you to hit max overdrive a lot quicker. But finally, once you hit max overdrive, the fight becomes significantly easier, though. You can just kind of very, very easily, once you have built up that max overdrive count, just activate all of your buffs, your Howling Soul, your Aura, your Mind Storm, your Hawkeye, and you should have a massive amount of potential at this point. Make sure you trigger that ranged combo. I'm going to use Hawkeye into Afterburner, and you're going to see the massive amount of damage they're going to be able to do with just one Afterburner here. So about almost 5 million per hit there. This is really, really strong. That's enough to one-shot every enemy in the game except for Gradivis and the 35 million HP ghost enemy in Chapter 13. And you saw just another Afterburner there. I already did another, basically half his health with just 2 Afterburners. And there's the third one. There's another chunk of his health. I go ahead and topple him when he gets back up. And then once again, we chain into another Afterburner. And if I had just a bit more damage, I could have killed him in 4 Afterburners here. But since he's basically dead at this point, I just go ahead and quick recast the 5th one here to get the kill there. So very, very nice weapon type. Even though the building overdrive part can be a little bit annoying if you don't have the setup specifically dedicated to it, if you can get the setup going, it can be really, really powerful. For Farsus here, I go ahead and equip a piece of gear that has overdrive count up, and showcase that you can also use some tensifiers here to build up your count really, really fast and kind of get to the fast part of the fight a lot quicker here. Now, Farsus, of course, does not get toppled, so I had to run a different build here where I use a Reflect Aura instead of the Aura that I had, but I can still keep most of the same things outside of that. And I'm still basically able to one-shot him here. Now, it doesn't quite one-shot because I think I missed one of my attacks, which is kind of funny. But if it didn't miss, yeah, I missed one of my 5 attacks there, unfortunately. I only got 4 hits off there. If I hit all of them, it would have been an easy one-shot on Farsus there. So, once again, Afterburner, really, really strong. One of those TP arts that can easily one-shot pretty much everything in the entire game. Even if you are running a weaker damage setup like I was there, just for the sake of some survivability. You can also one-shot Telethia the Endbringer. Now, Telethia is really annoying, and he also evaded one of my attacks, so I couldn't actually showcase this here. But you can one-shot Telethia the Endbringer as well. Once again, I'm just using Reflect here since I can't really topple the Endbringer. That's not really a big deal, though. Just Reflect Ether, and that just kind of gets solved. I have a little bit less potential, but outside of that, it's basically the exact same build here. And I can just chain Howling Soul, get my potential boost, Mindstorm, get another potential boost since they stack with each other. And then Afterburner after that. And you'll see 4 hits of Telethia basically brings him down to about 20% health. If I got that 5th hit off, he would have been one-shot. But unfortunately, of course, I missed an attack. Which, of course, means, of course, he gets to just run away now. Which is a little frustrating. So I was just like, alright, well, that's good enough for a showcase. And I just left it at that, right? So Afterburner, very, very strong. Really, really nice. Last thing I want to showcase here is just kind of how it can be used as support capability online. Or just kind of in general. Where I'm basically only running the Howling Soul, because that is really all you need to really just kind of boost your damage of your teammates a lot. So I can activate Howling Soul, and just, this was very early on in the game's lifespan where I was able to help my buddy Lawrence hit the damage cap and get high on that leaderboard when that was first a thing in this game. So Howling Soul there is one of the main enablers of this, just kind of helps you hit damage cap really early on, even at level 58 there. And we get that easy damage cap on the Caro enemy. And, yep, Howling Soul, like I said, is pretty much required for a lot of online content now if you want to get the most damage possible, if you want to get the most RP off Nemesis, and if you want to do a lot of things online, or just even offline if you're doing challenge runs. Howling Soul is just a really great enabler. Like I said, probably the best art in the entire game for just increasing your damage even further here. So here's another additional fight against Gradivis. This is one where I kind of was able to build overdrive count a little bit quicker. And once again, the build is not going to change much. Everything's going to be almost the exact same. I did change a few things around, so I might be doing a little bit less damage with Afterburner, but it really doesn't matter too much here. You're still going to get a lot of damage, assuming you have all the buffs active. I think with a knife setup, you can actually get well over 6 million damage with each hit of Afterburner, which can be really, really nice as well. But regardless, it really does not matter too much. At this damage range, you're still going to be doing a massive amount of damage and just kind of trucking any kind of enemy that you end up fighting. And I think that is very, very prevalent here in just how much damage that you are able to do. So, like I said, Sniper Rifle is a lot of fun. I think it's really fun to just kind of combo all of your buffs and auras into Afterburner. The main problem is just, you need to be able to build overdrive, right? You need to be able to build that TP count. But if you can do that, enemies go down very easily. You can also run a really effective ranged attack build with Slayonet, as I mentioned earlier, so there's plenty of options you have available to you. You have a ranged attack boost on the Sniper Rifle. You also have the Howling Soul, which also boosts your ranged attack further, so there's plenty of options to get a lot of damage out of the Sniper Rifle if you really want to. I think that is probably going to cover it for this guide, though I feel like I was able to effectively show off how much damage the Sniper Rifle can do. Once again, though, if you don't want to run the Core Crusher build, you absolutely can run a different weapon. You'll just do some less damage, but the rest of the build pretty much stays the exact same. I think topple locking is going to be the most consistent method against most enemies that are not immune to topple. You can use it against both Nemesis enemies online as well, so that is definitely a really nice option that you have available to you. Sniper Shield is a really good supporting class and can do a decent amount of damage itself. If you did learn something from watching this video, do be sure to like, comment, subscribe, make sure to share with your friends who are new to the game, tell them how broken Howling Soul is, and tell them that Sniper Rifle is probably a top 3 weapon in the game now. With all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully I will see you back here soon for future guides and videos.